Good morning and welcome to another episode of Thinking It Through with Tia. Um, Today I come back to just discuss the follow up from the last video. The last video that we reviewed was on self love. So today we're going to talk about self care. So let's get into it. So, as we know, based on the conversation from last time, self love is really just about learning to truly love yourself. It's about loving the good things about you, the bad things about you, because either way, they are still you, right? So, it's about learning to just love what you have to work with, right? And then learning that that is actually perfect for just who you are. So, coming into terms with loving yourself, believing in yourself, appreciating yourself. The more that you do that, the more that you will become able to communicate better with others. You'll be able to give love to others. You'll be able to receive love better from others, things of that sort. But as much as it's important to give self love and love self, we also need to practice self care. And self care is one of those things that has to be a little bit intentional, right? Because time is really truly of the essence in everybody's life at this time. We believe that we have no time. We believe that it's just we're too busy. We can't. Everything is just too much. I just can't. But you can, right? So it just has to be intentional. You have to make up your mind for yourself that is what you're going to do for yourself no matter what, and then dedicate the time to it, right? So have you ever sat, or let's not even say sat, have you ever walked into a room and the TV was playing and you had no intention to watch TV, right? But for some reason you stopped and you kind of got yourself caught up in the episode or the movie or whatever was playing. So you might stand there for 5 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes. You might sit down, get comfortable, and spend the next 30 minutes to an hour watching this thing that you had no intention of doing, right? Um, have you run into someone on the street that you just haven't saw in a while or whatever, and you stood there and you talked to them for a couple of moments? That was not planned in your day, and no, you didn't have time for it, but we make time for the things that we desire to do. So a lot of times we have to get ourselves out of identifying the difference between truly not having time and using not having time as an excuse to not do the things that we need to do. So if you could take a random couple of minutes to do something you had no intention to do, then you can definitely take some intentional time for yourself to do the things that you need to do to make sure that you're whole and complete. So let's talk about what some self-care things are. And it would probably surprise you the things that are self-care you do every day. It's just about you doing them with the intention of spending that time with yourself, learning to love and appreciate yourself. So, an example of self-care could be praying, meditating, deep breathing, intimacy, positive intimacy, right? Positive intimacy. It could be just going and walking out in nature. If you don't have the capacity to do that, go and just stand out in the grass or stand out on the ground. If you're near water, go to water. Look around at the things that are beautiful to you, right? Identify the things that you never noticed were beautiful, right? Because when you take a moment to slow down and truly practice some real life self-care, you will notice there are so many things around you in your everyday life you just don't even notice. Why? Because you didn't have time for it, right? You didn't have time for it. But if you ultimately want to see yourself grow, want to see yourself develop, thrive, and flourish into something greater, aren't you worth your time? Right? How much longer will you allow excuses to get in the way of you just genuinely loving yourself, right? Give yourself a facial, right? Give yourself a facial, give yourself a pedicure, give yourself a manicure, give yourself a pedicure. It does not matter. Do something for you. Give yourself silence. Silence, even if it means I have this hectic day today. if I have to get my silence when I have to run to the restroom, because that's natural, you're going to have to go to the restroom at some point, even if you take that time as your silence and you breathe deeply and you just clear your mind for a moment to give yourself a fair shot at balance throughout the day. One thing that we all have to come to understand is that if we overload ourselves, it does not matter how strong you are, how powerful you are, it accomplished, it does not matter. If you overwork yourself or you fail to give yourself the love, the nourishment, the treatment that you need for your body will sit down. It will quit on you. So, and it's not just your physical body that will quit on you. Your mental will start to get out of balance. You'll start to experience headaches. You'll start to experience anxiety. You'll start to experience a lot of lack of enthusiasm. Just a lot of things that make you feel more stagnant, more frustrated, or whatnot. So I guess the point is, if you could take a couple of minutes, 5-10 minutes in your day to step away for a moment, to go and show yourself some type of self-care, right? Take a shower, take a bath, put on lotion, shave, get a wax, whatever. Everyone has something that makes them feel their best when it happens. Go get dressed nicely. Go, even though you have nowhere to go, get dressed today. Get dressed until you feel nice, and then go about your day and just watch the slight difference in your day. Also, another way of practicing self-care is something that kind of I do for myself, right? So a lot of people kind of wonder, why am I so randomly happy, right? It just doesn't make sense to them that I'm so happy. It makes people kind of assume that I have nothing that I'm dealing with in my life. But of course I do, right? Because I'm human. Everybody has things that they're dealing with in their lives. I just choose my perspective. I choose how I'm going to look at things. I choose not to allow things that are small to become big. I choose to not allow things that my frustration or anger over it won't really change the situation. Therefore, I don't waste my time being angry or frustrated over it. I allow peace. I flow in peace, right? But to do that, everybody should know by now, my favorite thing is gratitude, right? I spend a lot of time in gratitude. I spend a lot of time thanking God for obstacles. Thanking God for the obstacles. Thanking God for the things that proved to me who I am, that proved to me what I'm capable of. Yes, I can sit and wish that life just flowed smoothly and everything was rainbows and sunshine, but what good would that do me to show me that I'm capable of more in my life if I found myself struggling with knowing what all I'm capable of, right? Because we all go through that. Like, we all go through this growth point in our lives where we're trying to figure out who we are, what we like, what we want to do, what am I willing to tolerate now versus what I was willing to tolerate before? How do I stand in my truth? How do I, be honest to others and to myself? Well, step by step, right? So you do it step by step. Even a person climbing a mountain doesn't just jump from the ground to the top of the mountain. They have to go up step by step. It's a pace, it's a technique to it. They have to understand that there's going to be some times that they might slip and they might fall back a little bit. But the beauty of it is that they still have a desired goal to reach, so they're going to keep climbing. They're going to keep putting one hand, one foot before the other and keep going up because they've desired to reach the top. So it comes down to this point overall. If there is something that you desire in your life, but you're not willing to put any effort into getting it, right? right? So, say for instance, exercising, eating right, spending quality time with yourself, spending quiet time, taking yourself out to dinner, taking yourself out to lunch, to the movies, or doing something that just really makes you realize your value. You're going to find yourself really struggling a lot, because you'll get yourself into a place where if you don't identify your own value, then other people won't either. And you might find yourself in a situation of confusion that makes you believe that your value is wrapped in what other people think of you, or what other people say about you, or how other people see you, or how other people feel about you, right? But realistically, unless what that person is doing has any impact over your bills being paid, your ability to eat, a roof over your head, your health, your safety, your sanity, it doesn't really matter what anyone thinks about you. And if you spend your time worrying about what others think about you, you will find yourself in a cycle, not going anywhere, and you'll blame everyone around you. But realistically, it's just because you're not loving yourself. It's not, you're not showing yourself self-care. Because the more that you love yourself, the more that you show self-care, the more that you realize you can't take anything else from anyone else. You realize it's not worth it to live a life I don't desire to please someone else or to make the collective group around us happy, right? So, do I want my happiness? Do I want my peace? Or do I want to make everybody else happy? I choose me, right? So today I ask you to step out and choose you, right? Choose to love yourself just a little bit more, right? So let's talk about a couple of ideas, right? So self-care and self-love, it's easy, but it's hard at the same time, because it's something you maybe weren't doing before, right? So you got to focus on doing it. So there's a couple of ways to kind of make it exciting if you want to. You could take like a clear jar. You can write down on little strips of paper self-love or self-care activities. You can write down empowerment activities. And then once a week, once every 2 weeks, or whatever, you just go and you pull from the bowl. And whatever you pull from that bowl, then that's what you're going to do. Do that for yourself, whether it be go get your nails done, go get your hair done, or go get your hair cut. Whether it's going to be, go out to a new restaurant, try something new, get dressed really nice. Whatever, I don't care. It is your world. Go to a museum, okay? Go to a museum, go to a concert. Whatever you have a desire in your heart to do, but you keep making excuses not to do it, write it on that paper and drop it in that bowl. And then challenge yourself that when you pull it out, go and do it. Each time that you do it, you will feel a feeling that comes over you that feels almost harmonious. And it's because you're bringing yourself into balance. So the more that you can give love to yourself, care for yourself, the more harmonious your life can be, and how much more balance you can have in your life. You could go on Amazon, you can buy affirmation cards, you can buy empowering questions, you can buy self-care cards. Whatever it is that you need to do for yourself, think outside of the box today, right? Release the box. Step completely outside of the box. Look back at your life and ask yourself, what could I do more for me today? What could I do more for me each day that fully reminds me who I am and why I am, right? Because we all have purpose, right? We're not here for nothing. If you think you're here for nothing, then you need to dig into your purpose. But we all have a purpose in our life, Find yourself so that you can find your purpose. Because when you find your purpose, everything else will just make sense. Everything else will just feel wonderful. Everything else will just overflow in an overwhelming way. It will not matter what is happening in your life. It does not matter if life seems to fall apart. It doesn't matter. You learn to see things differently when you learn to love and find yourself. You realize that what you thought was life falling apart was life falling together, right? because all things are going to work together for your good in the long run, right? So if something is taken away, it's good. If something comes in, it could be good. You understand? Or it could be bad. Depends on your perspective. If you want to have a bad perspective, then welcome everything into your life bad, and that will be on you to deal with. But just as easily as you can accept that this won't work, or that won't work, or this is not fair, or everything goes wrong in my life, or nothing is ever right in my life, I never get anything that I want, it's just not fair. Just as easily as you can do that, you can change the narrative. You can change the narrative and choose to see the positive in the midst of all things that are going on. Right? If something is taken away from you, thank you, Lord, for removing something that didn't work for my highest and greatest good. If you're stuck in traffic, thank you, Lord, for getting me there safely and slowing me down to give me a little bit more time with you. Or even thank you for not putting me in the way of whatever thing may have happened that could have been devastating for me. When I go to even a parking lot, if I have to go to a store, I don't even stress if the parking lot is full. I just say, Lord, I need a parking space. The end. Because I trust it, it's going to happen. So I ask, Lord, I need a parking space. And as soon as I do, someone backs out. And it's usually right towards the front, right? And some of my friends have been with me when I do this. So they're like, how do you do that? It's not that I'm doing anything other than trusting, right? All I genuinely do is just trust in the unfolding of my life. Everything is going to unfold beautifully for me. Everything is going to unfold exactly the way that it needs to unfold. I trust that. So what do I need to worry about? Why would I let myself get into a state of stress when stress is not a part of my lifestyle, right? So yes, I can see the same things that everyone else sees going on, right? I just choose to see it differently. I choose to accept that everything will flow the way it needs to flow, and everything will land exactly the way it needs to land. So that is today's information for Thinking It Through with Tia. Just some self-care, some self-love. Find your joy, find your abundance. You owe it to yourself to find and embrace the peace that life has for you. When you can get to a state of mind where you know you have no voids, no holes, there's nothing you're trying to fill, there's nothing you're trying to prove, there is nothing you're trying to force, there just is, right? There just is, okay? So I'm going to wrap us up with a statement me and my love share so much. My friend, and it's just about really, truly just standing in yourself, right? And it's something that we say when we remember, what are you doing, right? The flowers don't go to the bees. Flowers just are. The bees will come to the flower. You're a flower. All you need to do is just be, and let everything that's meant for you come to you. If you trust it and you believe it, it will, and it will be beautiful. So I'm wishing everyone a magnificent day, a happy holiday season. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas and has a magnificent New Year. Thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts with you all. If you have any questions, any follow-ups, anything you want me to go deeper into, feel free to reach out, let me know. Feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you feel like there is anyone that needs a little bit of self-care and love or a reminder in their life today, share this video with them today. Otherwise, wishing everyone the greatest of all.